Oh, where do I start? Do I start the one where my ex is dating the Megan? Was it the Megan Stallion? What's her name?
Meg the Stallion.
Meg the Stallion. Megan. I'm just gonna call her.
Girl, ain't this you?
Star. Cause they ain't never finna buy shit. Sorry, hoes hate me cause I'm the it girl. I ain't never asked to be the shit girl. Don't call me sis cause I'm not your sister.
So you don't know who Grammy Award-winning rapper Megan Thee Stallion is, even though you've been singing her songs for the past 4 years. Got it. And to intentionally mispronounce her name, even though she has one of the most basic American names, did not escape my notice. That was hella microaggressive. The real question we should be asking is, who the hell are these broads? Because I have never seen them a day in my life.
I just wonder what his type is, because you guys dated, then he was talking to other girls when he was talking to you, and like they all look
very
like
similar. Like
you
we
guys.
all looked,
So I'm just curious what his type is.
The hell? Megan Thee Stallion is everyone's type. It sounds like someone's salty that he didn't pop back out with a Becky and went back to the home team instead.
Hi beautiful ladies, welcome back to my channel. You've probably already seen by now the clip that I just played of those 3 women making passive-aggressive comments about Megan Thee Stallion. I have a lot to say about this, so I'm just gonna get right into it. First and foremost, and I know this is gonna piss off a lot of people, but you should know by now that I don't sugarcoat things, so if you're easily offended, just go ahead and skip this video. But white women who date black men in general, 9 times out of 10, they do so because they cannot access their own men. So they go to where they think that they'll be valued and receive the admiration that they couldn't get from their own men. And a lot of these women, they have difficulty gaining access to white men for a number of reasons, but we all know that white men out-earn black men by a landslide. You could say, oh, it's because of racism. Well, we're not going to go down that route because, yeah. And white women have always been self-serving to gain access to comfort, ease, luxury, health, etc., and rightfully so. I think that black identified women could honestly take a page out of their book and do the same. But white women, they will choose to date and marry someone who they believe have access to resources in order to improve their quality of life or maintain their quality of life and sort of give them access to resources and their children to give them a good quality of life. So white women choosing to date or marry someone with less resources as a collective, when their whiteness alone can give them access to the top resources in the world, is a loss. If they could gain access to white men, they definitely would, for the reasons that I mentioned. And so again, they kind of go to the next best thing.
Bob is a white girl.
Yes.
And you get attention from black guys.
Yes.
In my experience and all the other white girls that I know, we don't think that getting attention from black guys gives you a status of some sort. If you get attention from the white guys, you do have the status more than if you get attention from black guys.
As a man, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with that.
Well, as a woman who gets attention and who grew up in a white culture more than a black culture, I'm going to tell you that getting attention from black guys is not a badge of honor if you're white.
Okay.
And I'm white.
You are white.
Yes.
All right. No,
if a white girl gets attention from a white guy, that's more valuable in white culture than if she gets attention from a black guy. If she gets attention from a black guy, that doesn't make you a better anything. Like, that doesn't raise you in anybody's eyes. As a matter of fact,
in some people's eyes it does.
As a matter of fact, it's a little bit of oh, you know, she's basically not good enough for the white, so she's good for the black guys. That's how it's looked at with white people.
I see it the opposite way, but
and this has nothing to do with beauty or looks per se, but mentality and character. And I'm talking about white men in this regard. If you're seen to not embody certain values that white men embody, and that includes canoodling with black men, you are written off, because white men value their image to the point that they won't even associate with underachievers because they believe it taints their image. And they won't allow themselves to be tainted by women who have been tainted themselves. Nothing to do with the color of your skin, your phenotype per se, but everything to do with degenerate behaviors, demoralizing characters that could indirectly reflect poorly on, that could reflect poorly on you if you're seen in relation with people who possess these characteristics, which is why I tell you guys to stay away from ghetto blacks. I know that's going to piss people off me saying that, but I don't care. Your image is important. Your image is a form of social currency, which you can then use to social climb. And so you canoodling with people who possess antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior does not mean, oh, I'm anxious and I can't really talk to people. Antisocial behavior is being loud in public when it's not appropriate to be loud. Talking about controversial topics, as a way to stick it to the white man or to stick it to people. Just having no class altogether, those are antisocial behaviors that reflect poorly on the person who's doing that. And if you are seen in close contact with that person, even if you're in the same company but you don't really know that person, if you are seen together with that individual, people will automatically assume, especially if you share the same race and phenotype, people will automatically assume like, oh, I see Angela over there hanging around Deborah and M. So she must be friends with her. She must be just like her, because why else would she be around that individual? And so the same thing applies in this case. And this honestly is where the whole mud shark term comes from, where white women who date black men, they are labeled as mud sharks, and white men pretty much write them off. Again, it's not centered around racism per se. So to say like, oh, if you are automatically seen around people with darker skin, your image is tainted because you're with those people who have an African phenotype, and the African phenotype is innately inferior. It has nothing to do with that. Maybe for some people it is. But for the rest of society that has managed to evolve, it's not that case, because Black women and white male relationships are on the rise, and these marriages are the most successful in America, even compared to white women and white male relationships. And you could say, oh, well, what about athletes and rappers? White women, they don't go after white men because they can get access to athletes and rappers. And, these men, they have access to resources to give them a good quality of life. I'd like to push back on that, because despite these groups having money, athletes and artists, it's not about the money. Again, it's about how you look socially. Because athletes and artists, rappers specifically, they're known to be abusive, they're known to be absent fathers, and they're known to be unfaithful. First of all, it's a social faux pas to be this type of individual. And when you chronically see these same issues happening with the same groups over and over again, it stands to taint the image of your group entirely, which is why I tell Black women to divest from the Black community. Again, it has nothing to do with choosing not to date Black men as a whole. It has everything to do with staying away from those harmful antisocial behaviors. Again, these type of behaviors place a stain on society, and people try to stay away from this as much as possible. And if you are elite, which usually in these industries, it's predominantly white men who are the elites, they will do anything to stay away from that type of stain, if you will, because it just simply does not look good. And again, if you are in cahoots with that or seen to be in close contact with that, that's going to reflect poorly on you and negatively impact your social standing. Memberships are now live on this channel. Click the link in the description box to sign up to receive access to exclusive content and perks. So I'm saying all this to say that as a Black woman, and just woman of color, honestly, there's really no sense in you getting upset and riled up by white women who specifically target these industry dudes, because they're only doing so because they have no other choice. And I know that they have no other choice because once they go through the ringer and they think that they're going to get better treatment and they realize that they're not going to get the treatment that they were hoping for, a lot of them try to go back to their communities and it doesn't work out for them. We look at Kim Kardashian. Like, she had the whole urban look to the point that people accused her of cultural appropriation, trying to mix fish, black fish, whatever, trying to co-opt the black woman's image in order to gain access to the black community and siphon money from there and gain access to black men. And now that Kanye West has embarrassed the hell out of Kim Kardashian, she's kind of switched up her entire look. She's kind of gone to like the clean girl aesthetic, trying to look more white. She's even kind of gone towards like the Italian aesthetic, because even though she's a white woman, she does look ethnic. She does not look like an American white woman. She looks like a European white woman, like an Italian. So she's trying to co-opt that image as well, and it's not being received too well. I've seen comments online by white men saying, yeah, don't touch Kim Kardashian with a 10-foot pole.
Okay, I gotta do a real quick rant here. I'm sitting here grilling, got a little salmon on the grill. Just saw a post on Twitter, New York Post, that Tom Brady is supposedly dating Kim Kardashian. I can't have this. I can't have this. It makes me want to puke. Now, I know Tom Brady's the same age as I am, and I have no right. Who am I to, like, talk about other people's dating game? I'm dating a girl much younger than me. People have said shit. So who am I? Right? Who am I? Well, I'm the number one Tom Brady guy in the universe. He and I got, what, a combined 12 rings together? I've been in the trenches. I've gone to jail. Tom Brady can't date Kim Kardashian, okay? Kim Kardashian, listen, she's hot. She's a bazillionaire. But she's like a paparazzi girl. She fucked on camera to get famous. Sure, she's talented. She does other stuff. She ruins every man's life she touches. She's a Daily News, a Page 6, a reality TV girl. Nothing. I'm what am I? I'm nothing. She's like, I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. But you're Tom Brady. You're better than that. If you're not better than that, none of us are better than that. It just drags him. And what Kris Jenner is going to be running his life. He's going to be on Meet the Kardashians and like talking about nail polish with Scott Disick and fucking Kanye and that other guy who keeps having the babies, the Laker guy and Chloe and it's, no, I don't want him in that world. Tristan Thompson, we're going to be like, it's going to be dinner with Tristan Thompson, Kanye, the Kardashians, fucking Kris Jenner. No. He's better than that world. So I did a quick list here. Who he can date. Like, oh, Dave, you got all the answers. I don't know if these women are all taken, single, some are taken, but you get the point. Kardashian's an A-list, but she's like a dirty A-list. It's not the real A-list. It's not Scarlett Johansson, Keira Knightley, Halle Berry, Margot Robbie, Ana de Armas, Isaac Gonzalez, Candace Swainpool, Dua Lipa, Taylor Swift, Zendaya, Rihanna. Like, these are real A-list. That's like who Tom Brady should be dating. He wants a fucker. Go fuck her in a motel and gossip and tell your friends. Date. We're not dating the Kardashians, Tom. You're better than that. If you're not better than, if you go down to that level, we all go down. We're better than that.
Okay, we know why this man said that. The man that she slept with on camera was a black man. Maybe he would have felt differently if it was a man who looked like him. Every guy who she's dated, whose life she's ruined, has been black, except for that one white guy that she married. So we know exactly what he means. And again, it's not a racial undertone to say, oh, he's just saying that because he's racist and he thinks that black people are dirty. I don't know this man. Maybe he is racist. But when you look beyond your feelings and emotions and you look at things logically, it all has to do with social standing and class. And he's telling you exactly what I just said, how he views white women who step out. So again, there's no need for you, black women, to feel triggered or upset by white women who try to ruffle your feathers to get a reaction or try to make you feel insignificant. They're doing this because they feel insignificant about themselves. And so instead of doing the inner work to become a better person, you kind of feel like your social status and your social standards are less than the Black woman that you're mad at.
One of the worst, honestly, I feel like I'm in denial sometimes and I can't accept some of the things that I've done. There is one thing that, I tried talking to a therapist about before, something that I had to do for a scene that was really rough for me. Basically, this guy had a bowl and he liked me until I threw up into it. And then he like iced in the bowl. And during the scene, he asked me to do it. And I didn't know how to say no. It was one of the most disgusting, foul scenes I ever had to do. And I'm telling a therapist this, and they don't even fucking know what to say to me.
Yeah.
No one can relate. Like, no one fucking knows what to say about it.
Which takes me to my next point. A lot of these white women dislike Black women specifically because we are the blueprint and the trendsetters in terms of fashion and beauty trends. And now I know that there's European beauty standards that tend to be pedestalized on a global scale, but there are beauty trends that we cannot ignore. For example, having like the slim, thick body type, like that more leaning towards like the more athletic build over simply just being slim. One of the girls, like her lips were lined with like a brown liner, and then she had like the lighter lip gloss in the middle. That is a trend that Black women started and have been wearing since the 90s. At the beginning, they're like, oh, that's not elegant, that's ratchet, blah, blah, blah. Regardless of what you think about that trend in particular, you know that your aunties and your mom and them have been doing that since at least the 90s, which means that, like, she's co-opting that look because not that she's trying to appropriate Blackness per se, but because everyone else is doing it. It's the fashion trend now, and so it's like, I want to look hip and in the know, so I'm gonna adopt this look, even if it doesn't look good on me. Instead of her appreciating and elevating her own beauty, which a lot of white women are doing. Like, they're bringing back the voluminous 80s, 90s blowout, which I think looks so amazing on any hair color, but especially when blondes do it, I think that looks chef's kiss. So instead of them using that status marker, if you will, that they have at their advantage, they're trying to co-opt your image while also trying to disrespect you at the same time, which is very common. Like, look at this picture of, I think this is Olivia, and I'll talk about her later on, but look at the picture of her trying to look mixed here. The whole baby hairs, trying to get fuller lips, and just in general, whiteness is increasingly not the pinnacle of beauty, as the beauty of other women of color is becoming more celebrated. If you go on TikTok, for example, for as short of time as we have it, you will see that more and more women are being celebrated. So Black women and their beauty are being celebrated, Indian women, Asian women, and it's not just by themselves. Like, it's not just other Black women or Indian women bigging themselves up essentially and building up their self-esteem. You're starting to notice other races of men take notice and say, yeah, I've always been interested in this group of women, especially white men. They're starting to make content saying, you know, I've always been attracted to Black women or Indian women. And I'm pretty sure the white girls are taking note of that. That they now, what was once an environment that automatically favored white beauty is now being challenged, as while the beauty of others is being celebrated, and now their pedestals are being challenged and sometimes being toppled. So essentially, there's more competition that they're having to contend with, and people don't like competition. So now that Tori's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend realized that she was not going to get the royal treatment that she was hoping for, she's kind of given up the whole blackfishing look and is trying to gain access to her white privilege by embracing her Eurocentric beauty. Look at this photo of her here on the screen, and if you go on her Instagram, she looks like a completely different person than when she was dating Tori, which honestly is what she should have done in the first place, because her Eurocentric beauty is a social climbing tool that she could have easily accessed and would have had received better treatment from white men in the beginning and access to all the resources that white men have access to without her time being wasted and being embarrassed, crashing out on the internet by trying to be passive aggressive, acting like you don't know who Megan Thee Stallion is. Because white women know that for the most part Black men pedestalize them, they're kind of shocked when some still choose to date Black women or at least sleep with them, especially since a lot of Black men who date non-Black women will disparage Black women to these women. So, kind of doing the complete opposite by dating who you said that you supposedly don't like will catch anyone off guard. And to be honest, Tori probably told Olivia that Black women aren't his type, which could also be why that point even came up in the first place. Because maybe he was like, dark skinned women are not my type. And some people say that Megan Thee Stallion isn't dark, but to Black men, if you're not white or close to white as possible, you are a dark skinned woman. So that's honestly a common triangulation tactic that Black men have used against both sides of women, regardless of race, to make them hate each other while trying to fight for his affection, which it kind of seems like this girl is doing, because if you really didn't care, you wouldn't have called your girlfriends over to make an embarrassing podcast about not knowing Megan Thee Stallion. Because Black men tend to be immature, like these type of industry dudes, they tend to be immature. They use this triangulation and fighting against each other to boost their social standing and desirability, because having access to a plethora of women, especially of all races, is a status marker for many Black men instead of respect, wealth, assets, social capital, the type of things that other races of men tend to value over the color of his wife's skin. And obviously, we haven't heard Tory outwardly say these things, or at least I haven't heard him say it, but you can look at the trends. Okay, he already has a baby mama who he did not marry, which should be an indicator of the type of man that he is. Which is why I believe that Black women should not date Black men who predominantly or who have dated non-Black women. Not because I think that non-Black women are less than or dirty, so don't go there, but because you'll often be subjected to this triangulation treatment and him trying to play both sides and then creating a war, if you will, behind your back, even on a smaller scale. And you just really don't need to be dealing with that drama or that stress. Um, or even some Black women, because they tend to question their worth when they deal with men. They deal with Black men who predominantly date non-Black women, because a lot of Black women still grapple with being accepted by Black men. And so they place their worth and identity in whether or not Black men accept them, which often translates into the type of women that he's dated. So Black women will think like, oh, a Black man must really care for me or accept me if he's dated only Black women, or if he's dated predominantly Black women, or if he's told me that he doesn't really like non-Black women and I'm his African queen. And honestly, Olivia and her friend's behavior in this video is a reflection of their internalized feelings of inadequacy, because the one on the left, her name is Lana Rhodes. She is a retired corn star and discarded baby mom to an NBA player. I say discarded because he dumped her as soon as he impregnated her. So the one in the middle is Meg's current man's ex, Olivia Davis, who I referenced before, who is a quote unquote influencer and podcast, which honestly is another way of saying unemployed. No shade. Maybe she comes from a wealthy family and she can afford to not have a job, but. And the one on the right is Alexa, who does OnlyFans. And we don't shame SCX workers on this channel. I don't give a damn what you do in your personal life or how you make your money, but these women are clearly triggered by Corey dating Meg after dating Olivia, because he literally upgraded. He went from dating the influencer to a Grammy Award winner, which would honestly bruise anyone's ego, regardless of race, because it makes you question, like, your choices in life. Like, am I actually successful? Am I actually doing well? Like, he was with me, and he said that he loved me for who I am, but then as soon as we broke up, he's now dating this super successful girl, which would also make you wonder if he even was into you in the first place, or if he was kind of dating you as a place marker, because he leveled up and dated a super successful girl instead of another influencer. It's kind of like many of you who stalk your ex's current girlfriend to see if you have any leverage over her to make you feel better about the breakup. Like, oh, well, she's not as pretty as I am, so that's okay. Like, I win in him not being with me anymore. Or she's just a cashier while I am a lash tech, to make you feel as if one job is better than the other socially. And on top of that, Megan is the total package, okay? She's hot, she's successful, she has a banging body, she's not a baby mom. Everyone, everywhere you go, you turn on your local radio station, you're likely to hear at least one Megan Thee Stallion song, whether it's the current one that she did with that Japanese artist or the one that she did a couple years ago with Beyonce. Megan Thee Stallion is everywhere. But despite being the total package, a lot of Black women find themselves entertaining losers because, and I did a video about this with Whitney Houston. I did a live about this, about Whitney Houston and other Black women who like dating down, because many Black women grapple with self-esteem issues and feelings of unworthiness because their identity is rooted in being accepted by the Black community and Black men. And that false acceptance comes with a price that is often withheld. And in order for Black women to kind of get any form of respect or recognition in the Black community, they must be a mammy, they must take care of the emotional and financial needs of the family and community, and they must also sacrifice their well-being for the benefit of the rest of the community without getting anything in return. I honestly don't know why Megan would date someone like Tory or even allow herself to be seen in public with someone like that, because he looks like the same stereotype that she was messing with previously that was just sent to jail. Honestly, that kind of sounds like Stockholm Syndrome, but I digress. It's really not a good look for her image because it stigmatizes her as a stereotypical Black woman who dates thugs, abusers, rappers, artists, baby daddies, who all have a reputation for being morally bankrupt and the underlings of society, and rightfully so. And it also signals to people that she has the inability to choose better for herself, especially after what she went through again with Tory Lanez. And I don't think it's a coincidence that she's dating someone with the same name, but anyway. Because Megan Thee Stallion honestly has been exposed to better. She, again, is a Grammy Award winner, which means that she has met literally the cream of the crop of society, people that we don't even know exist, who make moves behind the scenes to keep the music industry afloat and to make it what it is today. While men in general will date a variety of races of women without there being a reasoning behind it, they're just attracted to beauty. Tory, let's be honest, is likely dating Megan for clout and to boost his own image because of her success and her notoriety. I mean, again, the Tory Lanez drama is still fresh, and along with her super successful music career, and contrary to popular belief, a lot of men, especially Black men, are the real gold diggers. They date based on their ability to benefit financially or socially, which then would lead to, of course, more connections and more money. Again, Megan is a Grammy Award winner. I've said it probably 3 times already. So she's been exposed to high caliber men. So she could have chosen men from that group, to be honest. But people try to fearmonger and say that these men are dangerous and not good for you, that they're abusive. But honestly, that's just a tactic to keep you in the gutter with the bottom feeders. And Black women fall into this trap every single time. I just did a video on Mariah the Scientist where she was dating, still is dating Young Thug, and some other rapper before that, which literally bottom of the barrel. While any man can and will embarrass you or waste your time if he wants to, the chances of that happening with these men, these industry men who have a lot of social capital as well as money on top of that, the chances of that happening with them are slim and are far and in between, because these men understand social currency and they know that scandals, especially concerning abuse, will erode their social standing, which they use to social climb in order to make more connections and money. The Black male athletes and rappers, because let's face it, we don't really see that many white male athletes behaving in a negative manner compared to the Black athletes. They don't understand social currency, which is why a lot of them, they don't understand like leveling up in general, which is why a lot of them end up going broke or bankrupt when they're no longer working, because they come from fragmented families and refuse to educate themselves or observe how white men social climb, but will chalk it up to racism when they're excluded from elite spaces where employees are not invited. You need to keep in mind that these athletes are employees, okay? They are working to make money for management, the coaches, those who own the teams. They are employees. They got to clock in and perform well. Otherwise, they will not get paid. They will not get drafted again. They will not be traded to another team. They'll kind of just be ostracized and thrown away, which is also why you see next to no Black men in executive positions in the entertainment and sports industries, because they lack those same skills that I mentioned. I mean, you have like Jay-Z in the NFL. You can't even say Diddy, because Diddy was also an employee. He did sponsorships for like Ciroc and like other brands. You could say 50 Cent, because he does own his own studio now. And his own production, same with Tyler Perry. But for the most part, that's just a handful and pales in comparison to the plethora of white men and like other races of men who own shit. I want to see more Black women winning like Eve. She was rolling in the gutter with industry dudes like Stevie Community Dick J, but she cleaned up her image and married entrepreneur Maximilian Cooper in 2014 and has been peacefully married ever since. I haven't heard of any scandals, embarrassments, or drama. I think it's good that Megan isn't responding to the drama and is kind of keeping quiet. But Megan, if you're with this guy because you just want the D, please don't get pregnant and allow him to slow down your career. Just be smart, Megan and other women, and do not let these men stunt your growth by implanting their babies in your womb. Do not become baby mama number 2, and give that Jewish guy a chance. You never know what quality of life you'll get when you give the other guy a chance. Anyway, that's all I have on this. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think about this one down below in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.
I go by Megan Thee Stallion, aka Young Tina Snow, aka the motherfucking H-Town Hottie. And if you don't know about me, ask your boo about me. But you better find